Hello, my name is Linda Mashansky, and I'm a volunteer with the Duke of Edinburgh International Award Program. To help you meet the requirements for your preliminary training of your Venturist journey, we have developed a number of informational videos. At the end of the video will be a means for you to document you fulfilled the requirement with either a certificate or some sort of authorization that you can print off or download to your online record book. In this video, I will be doing a very basic overview of how to use a compass. I strongly recommend that you take an orienteering course or do more research online. I will first go over some basics such as parts of the compass, then how to take and follow a bearing, and finishing on how to use a compass on a topographical map. If you have not already done so, I recommend you review the video on map usage first. Essentially, a compass is nothing more than a magnetized needle floating in liquid and responding to the Earth's magnetic fields. When using a compass, it is important to not have it located near metal such as buckles or watches. It can also be affected by high power voltage lines as they create their own magnetic field that overpowers the Earth's. For hiking, mountaineering, canoeing, and the like, the orienteering compass is the most commonly used, being accurate to plus or minus 2 degrees and is the most affordable. This is the type I will be referring to. The compass has three main parts. The magnetic needle, which is commonly painted red on the north and in this case white on the south indicating end. The housing is the liquid-filled area marked with the four cardinal points: north, east, south, and west. And it is divided into 2-degree graduations, indicating the full 360 degrees of the circle. The bottom of the rotating housing is marked with an orienteering arrow and median lines. The base plate has an index line or bearing reading mark, which in this case is this mark right here. A travel of direction arrow, which for this one is actually runs into the mirror, and sometimes it has a ruler or scale on it as well. So on the larger one I have here, you can see the direction of travel arrow. You can see the scale that's on the edge. Before using a compass, one needs to be familiar with the basic directions and their degree markings. The four cardinal points are 90 degrees apart. 90 is east, or 090, south is 180, west is 270, and north is either 0 or 360. By using a 45-degree increment, you will have 8 principal points of bearings. North, again, is 0 or 360. Northeast is 045. East is 090. Southeast is 135. South is 180. Southwest, 225. West, 270. And northwest, 315. By knowing these will help you eliminate errors while taking your bearings. Now, a bearing is the direction from one spot to another measured by degrees from the reference line of north. To take a bearing, hold the compass in front of you with the direction of travel arrow pointing at where you want to go or the object of interest. Hold the compass level and steady, and by rotating the housing until the orienteering arrow lines up with the red or north end of the magnetic needle, keeping the direction of travel arrow pointed at the object. Read the number at the index line, and this is your bearing. Bearings can also be calculated from a topographical map. However, before you can do this accurately, you must correct for declination. This is the difference between magnetic north, or the field bearing, and the grid north, or the map bearing. As the magnetic pole shifts, one must calculate this difference on a yearly basis. There are numerous websites that will do this for you if you input your location. You can also calculate it as follows. The map I'm using states the approximate mean declination is decreasing by 8.5 minutes per year. In 2001, the declination was 12 degrees, 29 minutes. In 2016, the declination would have decreased by 8.5 times 15, or 127.5 minutes. As there are 60 minutes in a degree, this equals to 2 minutes and 2 degrees and 8 minutes, rounding it up. In 2016, the declination is 12 degrees 29 minutes minus 2 degrees 8 minutes, which equals 10 degrees and 21 minutes. We will round this to 10 degrees. This number must be kept in mind when you're using the map bearing in the field. I will be showing this shortly. So how do we determine a bearing to travel from on a map? First of all, identify your start point and your destination. Lay your compass on the map with a direction of travel arrow pointing towards your destination. The long edge of your compass between your 2 points. Without moving the base of the compass, rotate the housing until the meridian lines are parallel to the grid lines on the map, with your orienteering arrow pointing to the top or the north of the map. Ignore the magnetic needle at this time. Your index line will indicate your map bearing. To take this reading into the field, you must subtract the calculated declination. In our case, my map bearing is 60 degrees. To walk this in the field, I would then set my compass at 60 minus 10 degrees, or a total of 50 degrees. This is the setting I would use to take my bearing in the field. There are a couple of ways to make this easier. You can either draw your magnetic lines. Actually, I need that. I'll do this part again. Yeah, I need the arrow. Yeah. Okay. There are several ways to make this easier. You can either draw your magnetic lines on your map. In this case, they would be 10 degrees angle from the grid lines. Or if your compass has a declination set screw on the back, you can preset your destination or your declination, and the bearing will automatically be corrected. The final skill I want to show you is how to pinpoint your location on a map by using compass bearings. This is called triangulation. To find at least 2 prominent features and take bearings from this. So in our case, we know that we are walking somewhere along this creek, but we want to check to make sure exactly where we are. So we have taken our first bearing, and we find that we are approximately 50 degrees. Okay, we'll do this again. Okay. So we take our first field bearing, and correcting for declination, we find that this communication tower that we can see is at 50 degrees. We then line up our compass on the map, again doing the meridian lines parallel to the grid lines on our map, and again ignoring the compass needle but looking at the orienteering needle. We draw a light line along the edge. We then take our second bearing, do the same, and here we can see this building. It's a barn. We can see from where we are. So again, we line it up, make it parallel, and then we make another light line. Where these 2 lines cross is approximately where we are. It will give us a very close approximation as to where we are. If you want it to be more accurate, you can take a third reading from somewhere, and you end up with a triangle. You then put your position in the center of this triangle. Using a map and compass is a skill that gets better with practice. Many individuals, when they first start, tend not to believe what the compass is telling them. However, with practice and patience, you will gain confidence in
Now
your
I will
ability.
show you how to take a field bearing. First of all, you're wanting to know what direction that you're going towards a certain object, or what bearing that object is from you. So what you do is, first of all, identify your object. In this case, I'm looking at that tree directly in front of me. With my compass, I hold it level and steady and perpendicular to my body. Then, by keeping the line of sight line, or direction of travel line, pointed at my object, I take the ring and I turn it until the red end, or north-seeking end, of the magnetic needle is then nested inside of the orienteering arrow on the compass. Once I'm satisfied that's where I want it to be, I then look at my bearing. So in this case, my bearing is 258 or 248 approximately. Now the other thing that might happen is you might be told a bearing to move on or to travel on. What you do in this case, let's say that we are told to go on to a bearing of 020. First of all, you take your compass and you set it at 020. Again, holding your compass steady and also at right angles to your body. Slowly move your whole body by keeping the compass steady and flat until such time then as you put the arrow inside, or the needle inside the orienteering arrow. Once you're at that point, look down your sights, and in this case, the landmark that I will pick towards to go towards, there are two tree trunks in front of me. I will be going down into the middle of that tree trunk. Another good skill to have is how to do back bearing. A back bearing is very good to have in case you want to check to where you have been. To do a back bearing, what I would do is that you would add either 180 to the bearing that you have, but if you're not too sure about your math, a much easier way is to take your compass, put the direction of travel arrow beside you or towards you, turn yourself around again so that your red is, and there you can see your back bearing and you can see what's behind you. So in this case, we have the downspout of that building. What that helps you do is that as you're walking towards your destination, you can keep yourself centered, in this case, between the downspout and the trees in front of you that you are aiming towards. I'll show you a little exercise that will help you practice taking bearings. Find an open space and mark a starting point with a rock, like I have done here. Take your compass, set a first bearing of 120 degrees. Shoot up your bearing to find out where you need to go. Do your landmark, find what you're going towards, and walk 5 to 10 paces. Set your compass to 240. Find which direction you need to go. Find your landmark. Do another same number of paces, and this time, in this instance, it was 5. Add one more 120, which in this case would be up to 360. Do your turn. Do your 5 paces. You should end up where you started, which I have in this case. For measuring distance, it's a good idea to do pace counts. Do 100 meters measured out and count the number of paces that you need to go. In my case, I know I have 66 paces for 100 meters. You can then use that when you're given a distance. It's just calculate how many paces you need to go for the distance that you need to be.